think, or when you see the word education, what do you think about? What comes into your mind when you see this word? Okay. And now you're going to write some words about education. Okay. So you should be able to type in a chat box here. So if you can type any words that come into your mind when you think of education or school or university, maybe. Okay, now it's got learning, progress, wonderful. Okay, training. Okay, you can Renula and the name I cannot pronounce, Photo Estilogu. You can type into the presentation, not into the chat box. Okay, so you can actually type on the presentation here. So, wonderful. So we've got Fernando, progress, Katia, training, knowledge, wonderful, keep learning, great, school and teachers, fantastic. One moment, I'm having a little problem with my screen here, 1 second. Okay, school and teachers, skills, system of teaching and learning, and qualities, fantastic. Okay, so they're all the things you think of when you see the word education. Right, now we're going to do a bit more vocabulary for education. So some of it might be new for you, some of it you might already know. So number 1, we have an undergraduate. So an undergraduate is someone who is studying at university. Usually in your first or second or third year, you are an undergraduate if you study at university. Number 2, a graduate. You are a graduate if you have finished university. Okay. So normally, again, your first degree, if you do 1 degree, you are a graduate. Okay. And number 3, a postgraduate is someone who has done 2 or 3 degrees, 2 or 3 certifications at university. So normally you are at university for 6 years, 7 years, you are a postgraduate. Okay. So let me just put that, let's write that here. Don't worry if your screen has gone blank, I'm just going to write on a whiteboard for you. So we've got an undergraduate. If you are in your first, second or third year of university. Postgraduate. If you do maybe 6 or 7 years of university. And a graduate just means you finished university. No, they're not verbs, Joanna, they're nouns. So you are a postgraduate and undergraduate. So an undergraduate, a postgraduate, and a graduate. Okay. Let me put this up here for you. Okay, and that was all now. However, graduate is a noun. We do have the verb graduate, which is when you finish university. So it's the same spelling, but different pronunciation. Okay, so a graduate, graduate is the verb, which means to finish university. Okay. So in many languages you can say I am graduated, but in English we don't say that. We say I graduated last year. We use it as a verb, not as an adjective. Okay. So I graduated last year. So it's regular in the past. Graduate, graduated. Okay. Right, so let's go back to our vocabulary then. So, undergraduate, if you're currently studying. You're a graduate if you have finished university. You're a postgraduate if you have finished 2 or 3 degrees at university. Okay, right, so let's move on then. So our next lot of vocabulary is subject, course, and module. So your subject, for example, today is English language. You're studying English. That is the whole thing. A course could be, for example, B2 level. This is a B2 level course at the moment. So it could be from 6 weeks to a year to 3 years. And a module is part of a course. So for example, today we are studying education. Education is our module for today. So your subject is English language, your course is B2, and your module is education for today. Okay, just to check, is everyone okay? Give me a thumbs up if everything's okay. Brilliant, thank you very much. So we've got subject, course, module, and then a bit more vocab for you. We have the difference between an essay, an assignment, and a dissertation. So an essay is just a long piece of text that you write. That's an essay. So for homework, a teacher may give you an essay to write. Okay, so it could be 500 words is an essay. Okay. An assignment is just any homework that you have from a teacher. Could be an essay, could be a project, could be a presentation, it could be anything. Okay. And your dissertation is your final big essay at university. So normally at the end of your university, you need to write maybe 10,000 words. That would be your dissertation. It's like a thesis. Okay. Okay. So to the person who has just joined us, hello. There is a link in the chat box to a presentation. Can you click that link and it will open into a presentation? Okay. Right, let's continue now. So your essay, about 500 words. An assignment can be any homework. Dissertation is a very long piece of writing, 10,000 words, 15,000 words. Okay, alright, so let's continue. Now, I want you to match up some vocabulary. This is going to be different vocabulary. You're going to need to match the noun to the definition, okay? So, I'm going to start the activity. You have 5 minutes and you need to match these nouns. So we have a mark, a tutor, a lecturer, a professor, a lecture, a tutorial, fees, student loan, a degree, a master's, PhD, and a scholarship. Can you match these together for me? Don't worry if you're not sure, it's fine, we'll go through later, but match them together for me. Okay. Jose, hello, who's just joined us. Jose, again, can you click the...
Hello.
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 Can you click the link in the chat box, please? It will open into a presentation, like yesterday.
Wow. But like yesterday, I have the same problem because I don't know where is this.
If you go to
the link in the chat, okay,
in the
chat.
chat, if you go
Where
to
is
the right
chat?
side, there's a little green
Where is-
box. It says chat. Look up at the top to the right side of your screen.
Okay, chat.
Yep.
Okay, chat.
Click
Here.
that. And
Yes.
then in the chat,
Yes.
you will see it will say share Nearpod. One moment. I'll send it to you. There you go. And you can click that and it will open into a presentation. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Yes, perfect.
Okay, fantastic. I'm just going to put you on mute for now, like everyone else. Jose, if you have a problem or a question, please type into the chat box for me. Okay. Okay, you have 3 minutes left. I'll play a bit of music to you while you're doing this. Jose, you need to match the nouns to the correct definitions. Okay, you've got 2 minutes left if you haven't finished already. Okay, you've got 1 minute left. Okay, Sergio's finished. Oh no, he's not, sorry. Yes, he has. Sergio, you finished. Joanna's finished. Fernando's finished. Katya's finished. Okay. Okay, you've got 25 seconds left. Okay, 10 seconds. That's 2, 1, and you can stop there. So, let's go through this vocabulary then, shall we? So we had a mark. I'll share my screen so maybe you can see slightly, but so a mark is a score that you get for an assignment. So when you give an assignment or homework, the teacher will give you a mark. So maybe you might get 9 out of 10, or you might get A or B or C. Okay, so that's your mark. So let me put this on the whiteboard for you. So your mark is a score for an assignment. Okay. We have a tutor, which is just a general teacher. So we had your difference between tutor, we had lecturer, which is a university teacher. So for example, I am a tutor or a teacher. I am not a lecturer because I do not teach at university. If you teach at university, you are a lecturer. And then we had a professor. Which is a university teacher with a PhD. Okay. PhD is your postgraduate qualification. So we already saw the word postgraduate before. So if you study at university for 6 or 7 years, you are a postgraduate. When you get your certification is a PhD. So you're only a professor if you have a PhD in English. In a lot of other languages, in Italian, in Spanish, you can be a professor at any level. In English, you cannot. You need a PhD to be a professor. Okay. Otherwise, you're a lecturer or you're a tutor. So your PhD was your postgraduate qualification. Okay. Then we also had, let's take a look at our other vocabulary here. We also had, what did we have? What were we missing? Lecturer, tutor, professor, mark. We had your difference between a lecture, a tutorial. So a lecture is a big class at university. Maybe there's 200 people, 500 people in your class. That's a lecture. Tutorial is a small class. Maybe there's 10, 20 people in your lecture. Okay. One moment, let me turn off. I will join you. Okay, right. For the person who's just joined us, hello. If you go to the chat box, you can click a link in the chat box. It will open into a presentation. Okay, so your lecture is a big university class. A tutorial is a small university class. Then we had your difference between a degree, a master's, and a PhD. So your degree a degree is usually about 3 years. So your degree is a 3-year qualification from university. A master's or a master's degree is usually about 4 years. So it's like your second degree. And your PhD, like we said, is your postgraduate, which is usually about 6 or 7 years. Jose, can you see the presentation? Okay. Jose, there you go. You can see. Okay. And the rest rest of our vocabulary, we had fees, a student loan, and a scholarship. So your fees, your university fees are the money you have to pay for university. Okay. So let's write this down again. Okay, fees are the money you pay for university. For example, in England now, university fees are £9,000 for 1 year. It's very expensive to study in the UK, unfortunately. Does anybody know in your country how much it costs to study at university? If you'd like to unmute your microphone and tell us, how much does it cost to study in your country? Anyone? Joanna? You can unmute your microphone, Joanna. Tell us, how much does it cost in your country?
When I studied, I paid nothing, because when you study from Monday to Friday, you usually you pay nothing.
Wow.
It's free of charge.
Jealous.
If you study at weekend, it's in private school or at university, then you have to pay, and your fee depends what did you choose? You know,
Okay.
It depends.
Very
if you
nice. I'm
study
jealous.
medicine and etc.
I'm so jealous. I wish I had free university. Okay, thank you, Joanna. Anyone else? Does anyone else like to tell us in your country how much university is? No? We're all a bit quiet today? Okay, no problem. So, fees, money you pay for university. A student loan, excuse me, not loan. Student loan is when you can get money, maybe from the government or from a company, to help you pay for your fees. Okay, that's your student loan. And then finally we had a scholarship. A scholarship is when either the university pays for your fees or a company pays for your fees because you have special circumstances. So maybe you have a very high grade. If you have very high grades, you can get a scholarship and a company will sponsor you to go to university. So it's like a company that sponsors your fees for university. Okay. So you have to be quite lucky to get a scholarship. Okay. Right, so that's all our vocabulary for today. So let's move on. Again, give me a thumbs up if everything's okay. Is everyone okay? Lovely. Fantastic. Jose, are you okay? Yeah? Okay. Brilliant, thank you. Right, let's continue now. So that's our vocab. Now we've got a small reading about education. So, I'll read it out to you and you can read for yourself as well. So, have you ever stopped to think about how stressful school is because of exams? Why do we make kids do tests in the second year of primary school? This just encourages encourages parents to pile on, pile on the pressure. They expect them to stay in and study and refuse to let them watch TV. I remember spending hours in exam rooms when I was a kid. We need to stop thinking about education this way and maybe try to develop learning environments where kids can be creative and discover things for themselves. Okay, that's our reading. Who agrees with this? Give me a thumbs up if you agree with this text. No? No one? Who disagrees with this text? Okay, Katya. Katya, would you like to tell us why you disagree with the text? If you can unmute your microphone.
Well, I would say I partially agree because you always need to measure their progress, the students' progress. Otherwise, you would not know if they are learning, which are their, I don't know, the aspects that they need to improve, or you need to focus on those aspects for them to learn.
Are you a teacher?
Actually, yes, I am.
You sound like a teacher. Interesting. Fantastic. Okay, thank you, Katya. I'm just going to mute you again now for seconds. Okay, lovely. Right, so this is our text. You'll notice in the text there are a few words or phrases highlighted. This is going to be our grammar for today. So we have stop to, make do, encourage to, expect to, refuse to, remember spending, stop thinking, and try to. So our grammar for today is gerunds and infinitives. A gerund is a verb that ends in ing or ing, like stop thinking, remember spending. An infinitive is a verb with to, so stop to, encourage to. So we're going to look at the different rules. When do you use gerunds? When do you use infinitives? Okay. So let's check. Were you paying attention to the reading? Let's have a look. So which phrase is correct? Have you ever stopped thinking about? Or have you ever stopped to think about? So which one is correct? You should be able to click either option A or option B. Which do you think is correct? Okay. Let's have a look. So it's 50-50 at the moment. Half of you are saying with ing and half of you are saying with to. Okay. So in the text, it said, have you ever stopped to think about? Stop takes to, takes infinitive. You stop to do something. Okay. Have you ever stopped to think about? Okay, next one. Which phrase is correct? Why do we make kids to do exams? Or why do we make kids do exams? Which one is correct? So again, you can choose A or B. Which do you think? Okay. 70% of you said, why do we make kids do exams is correct. Okay, so we don't use to with make. So you make someone do something. Okay, next question. Which phrase is correct? We need to try to develop environments, or we need to try developing environments. Which do you think is correct? Go ahead and choose one. Okay, it's 50-50 again. Okay, interesting. So it's about 50-50. In the text, it said we need to try to develop. Okay, so try takes to, takes an infinitive. You try to do something. Okay, so let me just write this down for you again. So we had stop to with an infinitive. We had try to with an infinitive. We had make somebody do something. So without to, this is bare infinitive. Bare infinitive is an infinitive verb without to. Okay, right, next up. Right, so let's explain some of this grammar then. So like I said, a gerund is a word with an ing ending, with ing on the end. Now some verbs in English take ing. So, for example, some people prefer studying online instead of face-to-face. Other verbs that take ing are imagine, forget, enjoy. So I enjoy studying English. Finish. I finished studying English last year. Miss. I miss studying English. Keep, admit, consider, or have problems. So I have problems speaking in English. Okay. So all of these verbs take ing. Then you have some verbs that take infinitive, that take to. So again, for example, she promised to do her homework before watching TV. So promise takes to. I promise to help you. Promise to do my homework. Again, you have a list under with some other verbs, like agree, ask. I asked him to help me. Decide. I decided to study English. Learn, offer, plan, prepare, promise. So all of these verbs take to. Now for these verbs, unfortunately there's no rule. You just have to learn them as you need them. Which verbs take ing and which verbs take to. So there's no particular rule for this. But we do have some other rules that can help you. So, other rules for gerunds and infinitives. Generally, if your verb is the subject of your sentence, it needs to take ing. So doing a PhD is very difficult. Here, in this sentence, there's no person, there's no subject. The verb do is your subject. So it needs to be in ing. Doing a PhD is very difficult. Okay. Let me write this down for you as well on our whiteboard. One moment. So you could say studying English is fun. Again, here study is your subject, because there's no person. You're not saying I study English or he studies English. We're using study as the subject of the sentence. Okay. So whenever you have a verb that's the subject of your sentence, it needs to be in ing. Joanna, do you have a question?
I think that there is some mistake in your notes, man or make.
Excuse me 1 second. Make.
Now it's disappeared.
Okay. 1 moment. Oops. Yes, sorry, that should say make. Yes, you're correct.
Right.
Make someone do something.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Right. Everyone else okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're okay. Brilliant, thank you. So, if your verb is the subject of a sentence, it needs to be with ing. Doing a PhD is very difficult. Also, if a verb comes after a preposition, it needs to be in ing. So a preposition is a small word like to, at, in, of. Can also be after, before. So for example here, after getting my bachelor's degree, I took a master's. So if you have a verb that comes after a preposition, it needs to be in ing. Again, let me write down some prepositions for you. So. Oops, sorry, 1 second, can't see. There we go. Prepositions. So a preposition is to, at, in, on. It can also be before or after. So if you have a verb that comes after a preposition, it needs to be in ing. So again, we could say before going to university, I studied at high school. Which is the same as saying before I went to university. But instead you can use the verb in ing and it has the same meaning. Right. So ing you need to use if your verb is the subject or if your verb comes after a preposition. An infinitive you need to use if you give a reason for something. So I'm studying English to help my career. So if I ask the question, why are you studying English? Your response is, I'm studying English to help my career, for this reason, for this purpose. So every time you give a reason or a purpose, it needs to have to and your verb, infinitive. And another rule is you need to use it after adjectives. So So it's difficult. Difficult is an adjective. It's difficult to do a PhD. It's difficult to study English or to speak English. Okay. It's easy to speak English. So every time you use an adjective and you want a verb after, you need to put to in your verb. Okay. So they're the 4 general rules that you can use, apart from certain verbs take ing and certain verbs take to. There are also a few other rules there for you. Give me a thumbs up. Is everything okay? Yeah, okay. Right, so let's have a little quiz, shall we? Let's see if you can use these rules to help you. So, you're going to have 2 minutes. You've got 4 questions and 2 minutes to answer these questions, okay? So let's take a look. Wow, you're going through that very quickly. So question number 1. He decided a lecturer after he finished university. And 2. I'm looking forward to my degree. Number 3, he apologised for not the assignments on time. And number 4, I enjoyed the lesson online. Okay, so most of you have completed that already super quick, so let's go through the answers. So A was everyone got this correct, which is great. So he decided to become a lecturer. Decide takes an infinitive always. So you always decide to do something. Correct. Number 2. Oh, one moment, my screen's gone a bit funny. I'm looking forward to my degree. So most of you got this correct. It was to finishing my degree. Now, look forward to is a set phrase, and it always takes ing. Okay, I'm looking forward to going on holiday, something like that. Number 3, he apologized for not completing the assignment on time. One second, oops. So for not completing the assignment on time. And number 4 was B. Okay. Now, let's continue here to our bare infinitive. So a bare infinitive is an infinitive without to. And there's kind of 2 rules for this mainly. Modal verbs never take to. A modal verb, for example, is can. You don't say I can to. Will is another modal verb. I will to. No. Should. I should to. No. You don't say that. So let's write down a few modal verbs here for you. So our modal verbs are will, can, should, would, must. Okay. All these verbs are modal verbs. They do not take to. They never take to. May, might. Thank you, Monica. Fantastic. They never say I might to or I may to. Dare. Dare is not a modal verb, Joanna, but it does take to. You dare to do something. Okay. But it's not a modal verb. So all of these verbs never take to. So your bare infinitive is with modal verbs. And after let and make. So we saw in the reading an example with make. Why do we make kids do exams? So we have make someone do something or let someone do something, which is for permission. So the teacher lets us leave early. Okay. Not lets us to leave early. So that's our bare infinitive. Okay, let's move on here. And 1 second, I actually wanted to do one more little point with you before we finish. So, which phrase is correct? Tell me again. We need to stop thinking about education, or we need to stop to think about education. Which one is correct? What do you think? Let's have a look. Okay, so most of you have said B, we need to stop thinking about education. A couple of you have said we need to stop. Now this is a trick question. Both of these options are correct. So stop takes both to and ing, but it changes meaning. Now we have about 4 or 5 verbs in English that do this, that completely change meaning depending on if you use an ing or to form after the verb. So if you use ing, we need to stop thinking about education. That means you completely finish that action. If you use to, we need to stop to think about education. That means you stop a previous action in order to start thinking about education. Okay? So it does have a different meaning. Another example I could give you with stop is, for example, one moment, can't see my screen. There we go. So I stopped smoking. So I completely quit. I don't smoke anymore. Versus I stopped to smoke. Which means I stopped doing something before in order to have a cigarette. So it has the complete opposite meaning, basically. I stopped, excuse me, I'm struggling to see here. Stopped, previous section. Okay. So it has the complete opposite meaning. So there are a few more verbs that do this in English, about 5 verbs. We haven't quite got time to look at them today, but we will look next lesson. And then next lesson we will also do some writing and we'll do some speaking as well. So you can speak about education and practice the vocabulary that you learnt in this lesson in the next lesson. Okay. So we'll have to stop there for now because we're almost out of time. So I'm just going to end the session for now. And then you can close the page and come back to Google Meet. Hopefully you can see me in our Google Meet. Okay, is everything okay? Give me a thumbs up if we're all good. Lovely. Perfect. Okay. So I will send you all an email in about 30 minutes or about 1 hour. And on the email will be your stats and your answers from this lesson. some of you who were in the lesson yesterday also received an email yesterday, or you should have. So I'll send you that. Also, for those of you that are new today, if you want to leave a review of the lesson on the Facebook page, you have the link to our Facebook page there. So if you'd like to just leave a quick review and say if you enjoyed the lesson or not. We're also on Instagram if you'd like to follow on Instagram. We put daily English tips every day so you can learn a bit while you're scrolling through your phone. And also if you would like to sign up for next lesson for the B2, if you haven't already, let me just get the link for you here, one moment. Where are we? B2. Here is the link for next lesson if you would like to sign up. Okay. And one last thing before you go, did you enjoy the lesson? Was it okay for you? Did you have fun? Did you learn something new? Wonderful. Brilliant. Thank you. Any questions? Does anyone have any questions before we finish? If you do, you can give me a wave or type. Okay, Joanna, see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions before we go? Or is it all okay? No, we're good?
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. Right, I'll see
Is
you.
possible?
Yeah.
Hi, it's Fabiola. Is possible to add more classes? Because I only click in the V2, but is possible to follow you every day? No.
So we have classes from A2 level to B2 level. Jose, can you mute your microphone for me, please? Okay, there we go. So we have classes from A2 level to B2 level. A2 is pre-intermediate. B1 is intermediate. This class, B2, is upper intermediate. So depending on your level, the lower levels might not be very useful for you because it will be very simple language and simple grammar. We also have 2 exam classes running. We have IELTS and we have a Cambridge exam class. Again, if you're not preparing for exam, please don't take that lesson because it won't be very useful for you because it's an exam class. For now, I only have 1 class a week for B2. Hopefully in the future I can do more, but at the moment I'm just trying out to see if people enjoy them and they like the lessons. So, but I'll let you know in the future if we put more classes on. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem. Any other questions before we go? Jose, can you unmute yourself and tell me? No, okay. Wonderful. Okay, so in that case, I'll say goodbye, and hopefully I'll see you all next week in class. Okay, so you can unmute yourselves now and you can say goodbye. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
See you, Monica.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank
Fernanda.
you.
You're welcome, Renala. See you. Okay.